Hi, this is Mike and Sean with Talking Tickets, going over some of the most ridiculous sales of 2022, some recent auctions, and much more. Sean, we're back.
What's up, Mike?
How's it going?
Good to see you.
Yeah, we got another getting this good weekly going. I think
This is how many weeks in a row is this that we haven't?
I feel like 4 or 5. I know in the next month or two it gets kind of crazy with going out of town. When you live in Texas, when summertime comes, you try to get out of town as much as possible.
You should try living in a state that only has 3 months of sunshine.
Right, so it's the opposite.
Everybody's not available in the summertime. That's what it is.
And here it's like, oh, it's June. I gotta get out of town as much as I possibly can because it's 100 degrees every day.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Cool. So what's new?
So we got, we can look at some of the recent sales. Maybe jump into that first. I want to look at the some of these heritage and golden. They had some nice auctions this past week. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. Give me a sec. Pull this up. All right. Heritage was pretty heavily on a lot of Jordan stuff. I saw that was pretty neat. They had the first college game, which I guess that people are saying there was more than one, but it went for $24K. See if I can.
I remember. I don't know if this is the same one, but I remember one sold on eBay a couple of years ago. It's somebody posted it as an auction, make an offer. I made an offer and it sold like instantly, and I think the total was $2,000. I don't know if it's that same one, but it was a Jordan.
Do you have any interest in college debuts? I
don't personally. I don't think that they're insignificant, but I would never pay that kind of money for it.
Right. We had another Jordan debut. These things, a lot of these just hit the market a lot. And this was a Ticketron, and we've seen a pretty good drop. And when we go over some of the ridiculous sales, I'll use this one as a comparison. But this was a 21K. And, these are kind of where we thought they should have gone.
Yeah.
Compared to earlier in the year where it just got stupid.
Yeah. I know we'll talk about this, but it's just that speculative market and then the crash and then the return to what normal is. And I think that's more of a normal price for that. Actually, I think that's still kind of high, personally.
I had another Rumble in the Jungle. I love that ticket. $5K. A lot of Carolina Jordan, which I think is pretty cool. I guess somebody just started to unload them. If you're a big Jordan guy, it'd be nice to kind of pick some of those out. Some All-Star tickets. Nothing too crazy. But we have seen things, kind of fall back down to reality. Like an auto Dion, before 6 months ago, I would have thought it would go for, I don't know, $3 or $4 grand, it goes for $1,500. We're seeing a lot of stuff like that, especially with debuts kind of come back to reality.
Yeah. And so the question is, let me pose this one to you. Do you think that the coming back to reality is because everything was way overhyped, or because there's such a flood of those hitting the market? Because the Dion example, it used to be that you never saw Deion Sanders, but all of a sudden you just see them all over the place now. And I don't know if you just found a bunch of them or what, but what do you think has the most impact on the market?
Well, I think it's the supply. People pull, things that you thought were rare aren't as rare as they thought. And instead of thinking there's only 3, 4, or 5, there's like 15, 16, 20. People's 401ks and all the markets taking a hit. Everybody's not flush with cash, so they can just buy whatever they want. And we had this speculative fever and everything, basically starting, pretty fast after COVID, and it kind of just died. It felt like somebody just took out a shotgun and took everybody's speculative fever into the woodshed. That's a big part of it. I would say those things, and you're getting people now who they used to buy just to try to flip, and now the flippers are out. So you're getting to a more realistic market.
Yeah. Do you think that fractional has kind of shied away after they got burned by a few.
Oh, I would think so. I mean, they were just buying anything because they could fractional it off, and with the speculative mania, people were like, everything goes up. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't I buy this? And then if I get on this fractional, it'll only go up. So they could buy whatever they wanted almost at every price, fill it at any price, and call it a day. And that's just not the case anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting.
Other tickets I thought were interesting that, I'm starting to feel like you could find some good deals on these Heritage and Golden, because now Heritage is getting quite a few tickets and they're having Sunday auctions all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you're into debuts, and this is like LeBron's finals debut, which has been real popular, it went for $660, a full. I haven't seen many of these. I thought it was kind of cool. I didn't buy it, but things like that. And if you really start diving in to these auctions, you can find some pretty nice things to buy.
Mm-hmm.
I know I saw like this one. I tried to bid on this. I thought this was a great purchase. It was a Bo Jackson last game for $430.
Yeah.
That's a pretty historic, that was it.
Yeah, you're right. I marked that one too because, but I had forgotten and I didn't bid on it, but I probably would have paid that much for it. The historical significance of it, if you are old enough to remember that game, was that, that's when he hurt his hip and that was the end of it. And it was sudden and awful. And it kind of devastated the sports world for a little while because
I remember him limping off the field like, he
right.
just has like a hip pointer.
And nobody knew how serious it was. And it turns out that it was incredibly serious. And it was his football career was over for sure. And then it was speculated that his baseball career might be over as well, just in that one play.
Right. And there's items like that I feel like you can, if you dig into these, you could find some deals. Did you see anything else in this auction that you thought was interesting?
I didn't really pay close attention to this one because there was nothing in there that I wanted. So I just kind of moved on. Was that a Sunday? Was that a Sunday auction?
Yeah, I don't know if they considered it a Sunday or they named it. I think it was a little bigger than a Sunday. I could look it up, but yeah. I mean, for people going forward, just realize that
they're moving stuff all the time.
Yeah, and another one that I've pointed out, is PWCC. Check out their stuff because they've had. We'll look at that one in a little bit. That's one of the things we were talking about, but. They had some cool tickets. I actually bid on one and just barely got outbid on, Montana to Clark to catch for $16.50, and it was a PSA 5. Things like that. I was like, dang, that's a cool ticket you don't see very often.
It's a PSA 5. That's a tough one because usually they're 1s or 2s at the highest.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, dang, that's a good one. Almost wish I would have bid a little higher on it. So digging through this, this is, I don't know if it's more of a PWCC. Not enough eyeballs, but a Iverson debut went for $12.90, which on eBay, I feel like these have been going for like $2 or $3 grand.
Yeah, that's another one of those that in the beginning everybody thought it was rare, but it's really not. So, because it's a die cut. Anytime there's a die cut ticket, especially early on, like or more modern like that, people saved them because they just look cool. It's like
think about if you're a Sixers fan, you went to this game. It was Iverson's debut first game. It's a cool ticket. You're super excited. I mean, you're very likely to take that home with you and throw it in your program or in a shoebox and call it a day. So I feel like there's quite a few of those out there. These are some older ones that we'll look at.
I haven't really paid attention to PWCC's tickets. I should more.
Yeah, I mean they're a great outlet, and it's looking at those is a good idea, I think, for anybody looking to try to find a good deal. Golden had a couple tickets that I thought were really good, high quality tickets, and especially the guys on Discord, the soccer guys were really all about these, especially these two right here. So this is the Hand of God bowl ticket, and I really wanted one of these, but it's one of those things where like, man, it's just, 11,400 to 11,400, but this is a nice sale talking about, the ticket market's weak.
Right.
Sure, maybe it could have gone for like 20 or 25, a while back, but that's a pretty nice sale. Let me see. It kind of clicked off. The other one was a Messi debut. Because there's a big difference between the Messi debuts.
And that debate was that the Messi, the one that is everywhere, the common one was a friendly, which is sort of an exhibition game.
Right.
And this one was his actual debut. His top tier?
Yeah, his actually professional debut.
Right. So
there's only a handful of them out there, and it's not really my thing, soccer guys' debuts, but just from what the guys on Discord were saying and this ticket, like it almost felt like, dang, this is something to buy and hold and just put it away.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about this the same, but given what I do know, which is limited, I would much rather have this one than the Porto one that was the friendly, just because of the friendly, not even the population. Obviously, the population for the friendly was far greater because it was the first day of the new stadium, so everybody kept it. But this one just is more important to me because it's his first match with Barcelona, and that's kind of how he was known. So, that's. But that's my opinion, and granted, I know very little about soccer or the soccer ticket market. But
right.
I was interested in this one. I didn't bid on it, but I was interested in this one.
Yeah, I have a basic knowledge, but not like the Discord guys.
Yeah.
The Brady sign for start went for $10K, which actually kind of surprised me. I know people go crazy. I know it was a PSA 10 autograph. Surprised to see that still that strong.
Yeah, that's surprising to me too.
Out of all the sales, those were the big boys. I think they only had about 8 or 10 tickets in there.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of shows you, like, hey, the unique, rare stuff, like this Hand of God, still can go for 5+ figures. And there's still rare, cool tickets out there that you can get, I think, for a reasonable, reasonable, 5,000.
Yeah, reasonable.
But going to crazy prices. So I did some research, and I wanted to find the most ridiculous sales of 2022, because I think we're both in agreement, right, that from about January 1st to, say, April, May 1st, I think we're in a little bit of a speculative frenzy. Mm-hmm. Maybe you call it a bubble for some of the higher end tickets.
Yeah. I think you could probably reach back further than January 1st too. I think it went into earlier or later last year was when it first started.
Where the frenzy, what I thought I could really tell was started getting crazy is when stuff started getting on the fractionals. Right? Tickets got on the fractionals. Yeah. I saw people quitting their jobs, to get more in the collectible market tickets. Okay. Which is that it may not be a bad idea, especially if you're doing well, but things like that. I remember Nat Turner tweeting that tickets are what I know he had a tweet that said something about tickets are the next big thing.
Yeah, something like that.
Right. And that's almost like being on the cover of, the big collectible magazine, like boom, it's here. You can't get any bigger. All those things, just seeing crazy prices, because we talked about, oh my gosh, this is insane.
Yeah. And also when it started making the news, like the Jackie Robinson sale and the Jordan sale in that heritage auction in, what was it, February, I think, that was national news. Like that made just traditional news, like ESPN and CNN type of stuff. So that was kind of okay, this is really getting
like how much bigger can it get?
Yeah, right. And then the other thing I was going to mention was that when you saw the critics jump in, when tickets were as a collectible were just kind of an anonymous side thing that was niche, nobody cared about it. Nobody ever said anything. But then some higher profile, social media people started criticizing it or criticizing Darren Ravel because he's pump and dump and all that stuff. That's when you knew it was getting out of hand, because other people who do this kind of thing were noticing that their money or the potential for their investments or whatever was getting shifted to a different market. And then
So let's take a look. We'll go through some sales. Some are almost the same ticket. I couldn't almost find the exact, but it's pretty close. So we'll start with Michael Jordan, PSA 1 with a mark on the back, February 27th sold for $99,000. And the one the other day sold for $21,000 at PSA 2 Ticketron. But there's been others that haven't even sold that started at like a $30,000 range. So you're looking at
right. Well, what that one, I forget, I think it was Golden, sold a red version for 50 something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of tells you how far this, because the blue version is not nearly as
right. I think we all kind of have our rankings. I'd say this is probably the worst one. This is the second to worst one, is what I would say.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but
I'm sorry, I didn't even put that up. So sorry about that. I thought I had it up. Here it is. So here's the one that sold for $99,000, and here's the one that sold for $21,000. Sold February 27th, just sold for June 25th.
And in the middle of that, wasn't one of this version sold at a fractional, the Ticketron version?
Right. Oh, there's one up that sold as a PSA 5 for $150,000 on a fractional.
Yeah. See, that's
you're not finding that.
That's ridiculous. Because this one's a beautiful. I mean, as far as like the eye appeal goes,
right?
Too, but it looks like a great ticket eye appeal wise. I don't like the Ticketron version, but you know, if that's your thing, I'd much rather have this one at 21 than a fraction of the other one.
Next, Mickey Mantle just sold for $52,800 on Collectable. This one was initially sold for $111,000 with punch holes in it.
Yeah, that one's that's fractional. I don't think we'll ever know how much of that was driving it. Not only with the actual fractional companies getting involved in bidding, but people bidding on stuff with the intention of sending it to fractional and getting some return on it that way. So who knows? I
feel like that stuff is pretty much over now. So it's back to mostly collectors. Next up is the PSA 7 was IPO'd for around 100,000, I believe. Tom Brady, he got up to 134,000, and most recently, PSA 8 went for 58,000.
Yeah. What was the other one though? Was it a 10?
It was a 7.
Oh, yeah.
So it was lower, the $100,000 one.
So yeah. This was one we were sounding the alarm on all of these. This is one that we were talking about how there's quite a few of these out there. Somebody sold a stack of them on eBay a couple of years ago.
Oh, and I should have bought all of them.
Yeah, and we all say that, but the thing is, like, if there is one stack out there, there's probably other stacks, and nobody knows. So it's hard to put that much money into something that you just don't know the real numbers.
Right. I could have bought one. I was negotiating with the guy. He wanted $1,600. I wanted to pay $1,400.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Next one was the Otani 10 box office, 31,200 on February 27th.
Mm-hmm.
June 25th, same ticket, 6,000.
See, I personally think 6,000 is way too high on this one.
Yeah, these seem pretty common, especially the box office version.
Do you remember when Otani debuted though? It wasn't that long ago, and ticket collectors were in full force, and they were trying to get his debut, and it was all over the place, and people were, scrambling for it, just like they do now whenever a young star debuts. And so there's a ton of these out there. So probably not as PSA 10s, but does anybody really care the difference in a ticket from a 10 to a 9 or an 8 even?
Well, I don't know. I feel like 10 is a big deal. It just sets it apart, the card guys.
But $6,000 big deal?
And yes, here's a comment. So I do have to say, here you go, Sean. We got the comment. I'm pulling it up.
Let's see it.
All right. Mike, are you happy that you sold yours for $30K? Yes, I am. And that was mine for $30K.
Calling you out.
It is what I buy or how much I buy or sell them for.
Yeah, I think that
I'm very, very happy with that sale.
This one's probably the most ridiculous that I've seen.
Well, there's more.
Personal opinion.
Okay, so this is the most ridiculous one that you've seen so far.
Okay.
Next, This is an interesting one. When I saw this, I think we made fun of this one. Cosign Bird Magic 79 semifinal game. Not the final, the semifinal.
Yeah.
26,400 in March. Same ticket, authentic auto 10, sold for 6,600.
Yeah. Yeah, that's more reasonable.
Right.
And we talked about that back then too, where there was definitely an autograph frenzy that was going on because everybody was trying to find tickets that were even more rare than the rare ones. If they were signed, that made them more rare, but it's not hard to get more of those by just having these guys sign more of them. So
yeah, I think we're starting to see my future bet is that this ticket exclusivity is going to go down or be eliminated for maybe not everybody, but the vast majority, because these ticket guys are going to find out that they can't get as much as they think they can get.
right.
It's more trouble than it's worth. It's lots easier just to cash checks and have the guy auto than to buy a ticket, get it auto, try to sell it, try to make a good markup on it.
Yeah,
I think they're going to go back to their original business model is, hey,
just charge a premium for
right.
it.
It's just simpler. It's easier. It's less risky. I think I saw somebody post that now, like Trevor Lawrence will sign Prism cards.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's something he wouldn't do before. I don't know if it was the same reasoning, but that's what I think is going to happen. Maybe not the Tom Brady's of the world, but a lot of the other guys. Next. Oh, this is the best one. This is the best.
Yeah, this is the best one.
49,200 for a Messi PSA 7.
Mm-hmm.
Same exact ticket, $1,000.87.
Is it the exact same one? Is it the same serial number?
It's not the exact same one, but the exact same grade.
Right, grade and everything. Yeah.
And this one's nicer than the other one because it's darker.
Right. Better. Well, okay. What do you think is behind this one?
Supply. It just got blown out.
Yeah.
There was when I started buying a few because I was like, holy cow, Messi's debut. And there was like 3 or 4 graded on PSA, literally. And then 6 months, 9 months later, there were 100.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever happened, this game was like a big, I believe, debut of a stadium, and it was a big deal. And, they had FC Barcelona coming into town. So everybody kept their tickets, and then word got out, a year ago how much it went for. Then everybody, there was like a mad dash.
Right.
To find this ticket.
I think that when we had Sergio on a few months ago, he made a comment about this ticket that kind of stuck with me, and it kind of tells the story of it. And that is, he commented that people could literally buy a house with the money that
it was on the local news,
right? And so if you get to that point where it's just something that's sitting around because it was a memento or a cool little memory piece from this game that you went to, and you could buy a house with it, you're gonna be selling it instantly. So
right. And those people have no desire to hold on to that ticket.
Right. They're just not as connected to it as a ticket collector might with some of these other tickets that have spiked, and we haven't really seen a flood as bad as this. Like this, the flooding, when we talk about the market being flooded, this is as bad as it gets. I have never seen anything
ground zero.
And they're still coming. If you look at the most recent Golden that they posted, there's a bunch of them in there, and
it doesn't stop. Like, where do they? It's pretty amazing.
And probably for a lot of people, even the $1,000 is great.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So they'll keep coming, but
let them fly.
I think that it's a great example of this. No better example of looking at the pop reports on PSA with tickets means absolutely nothing in 99% of them, because the vast majority of tickets that exist in the world are not slabbed by PSA. And that goes for all the tickets across everything. So it's good. It's a good place to start just as a reference, but you can't look at it and say, oh, there's only 7 of these.
Right.
So,
I think there are different levels of extremes. There may only be say there's 2 or 3 on PSA, there may only be 2 or 3 or 5 out there. And then for other tickets, there may be 100, another 100 out there.
And it absolutely depends on a lot of other variables that you have to consider, like what year it was and whether or not it was an opening day and what the attendance was at the game and whether or not it was a home game. Or, if you look at all of those and they all check the boxes and it's a low pop, then you're a lot safer than, some modern ticket that was just not everybody's gotten around to getting slapped.
Historic game.
Right. Yeah. So it's a good lesson, I think. And if a critic of the ticket market looked at this in a vacuum and said, and pointed to this ticket and said, look, it was all just a house of cards and now it's crashed and I told you so, that's not at all what's actually happened. It is true with this ticket for sure, but
this one was great. So is this numero uno for you?
Yeah, but there's so many examples of tickets that I'm still seeing sell on eBay and stuff for more than I ever would have thought they did. It's just supply and demand.
The next one, we talked about this quite a bit.
Yeah. This is the second one. This is the one that I own. And I remember
why weren't you selling in January?
Right. When this one sold, I held it up and I said that I paid $150 for it on eBay back in 2018 or something. And we laughed. And we didn't laugh because I was, rich now. We laughed because of how ridiculous it was, because there's a lot of these out there. And you do see them quite a bit. And I think part of it also is that maybe American collectors aren't quite as aware of international populations and what the potential is for them. And so it's harder to tell. You get a couple and you think, oh, these are rare not because they're actually rare, but because they're rare in the US, and that might have happened with this one and the Messi.
And here's the most recent one, 2000.
Yeah, and that's a better one too, isn't it? That one looks a lot nicer.
It's really almost the exact same. One with a mark on it, just different tape.
Yeah, but this one looks nicer. It's better appeal.
Right. So you get the crappy one for $36,000, or you get the nicer one for $40. All right, moving on. PSA 8, Tiger Woods, full, $87K. Hey, I bid $6,750. I got outbid. I lost this one by a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
PWCC actually sold the same, pretty much. I wouldn't say it's the exact same one for $31,200. And 8. I don't know if that's the same. It's the exact same one. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, is it the same number?
That's a tough one.
That's interesting. I wonder why somebody would do that.
And this is, I think this is more of an example of the speculative fever that got into high dollar tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can find a date on this sale. November 20th, 2021 was right around that craziness. Was, I think, one of the highest graded. And then, things are more, it's less speculative.
I remember that one, that Heritage one when it sold, and I was really surprised because those were still tickets that you saw around quite a bit. And they were really hyping it for its high grade. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of when I started to realize that, these things are the grade premium is going to mean a lot in the now with the new run up of all the card collectors getting into tickets. And I wonder if that's going to shift back at all.
Man, I don't think so. I think this is kind of more what, I don't see this getting shot up back to 60 or 80 for a long time. I think this is more of, this is the ballpark.
For the price on this one?
Right. For these super high-end tickets. I think, it'll be a few years or more before you see them, maybe it'd be more of a slow, steady climb. But the economy and the market go to crap, I don't see them going back up.
But, okay, so just talking about the grade premium, meaning, a higher grade gets a way more value than a, lower grade. Do you think that that's going to shift back? Because that's something that's new.
With the higher grade, I think higher grade will always command a premium. I think it's kind of the card model where a 10 is just way better than a 9.
It's interesting because I think that came as a result of a lot of card people getting into tickets, and I wonder if they're going to get out.
Well, I think you'll still have the rich people that want the best. If you're super rich, you want to buy the best, and you don't want the 8 or the 9. You want the 10. Damn it! And
yeah, that's true.
You're gonna pay what it takes, because if you're worth $40 million, what's an extra 40,000 to buy the 10?
Right.
Anything else? I think that was it. Now I tried to only pull out ones that had almost exact comparisons. We could find other ones.
Yeah.
But I like these just because you could look and say, oh, this is almost the exact ticket.
Do you see anything else now that you think maybe 6 months from now might have the same kind of dynamic?
As in dropping?
Like, is there a ticket now that you think is really unusually high priced value-wise that might correct like this?
No, I mean, I feel like we've seen kind of the bigger corrections. Almost all the super high-end tickets from, we've seen with the Wilt 100. We looked at that last week. It's taken a drop. The Jordan debuts, kind of the GOAT tickets. But, the Babe Ruth called shot has just been going up. Mm-hmm. That's one ticket that's not gone down.
Yeah, that's one we talked about last week, and that's a good example of one that for the longest time was 2,000 to 3,000. That's what it was. No matter what the grade was, it didn't matter. It was just that's how much it went for. And then that one that was, I think it was a PSA 5 at Hunt, went for like something ridiculous, 20,000, 30,000. I don't.
We might see those coming out of the woodwork now. You see,
absolutely. Because there's, I think, just graded, there's well over 100 of those.
Right.
I haven't looked.
I think me and you, do you agree that that's like the ticket? I wouldn't, we always talk about, the Jackie's the best of the best. It's like number one, but the Babe Ruth called shot it's
the most iconic.
Right. Yeah. The most iconic, it's actually something you could get and not pay 6 figures for it.
Right. And it just looks cool. I mean, when you look at a group of tickets and you see that one, you know exactly what you're looking at. Even if you're not a huge ticket collector.
A couple other things I want to get your opinion on this. This was in the new Golden auction. I thought was very interesting, kind of cool, but I really just more want to get your opinion. So this is a Ja Morant debut ticket, but it's actually a seat finder.
Yeah, that's been an interesting debate lately, hasn't it? So how does that work? Is it something that they give you at the gate because you need to be
the Mavericks used to do this, is you would go in and you give them your QR, and they'd have a lady and they'd print off of a piece of paper and give this to you. So, hey, you show this to the usher.
Right.
You have to keep pulling up your phone.
Why do they do that? Is it because you don't want to have to be able to, like, if your phone is dead or something?
Yeah, probably that. So you don't have to keep digging your phone out and turn it on. It's just something they were used to giving somebody a piece of paper, with the ticket, or now this, like, oh, here you go, here's your seat.
That's funny. I went to a comedy show, Bill Burr, last weekend, and they had this, except for the lady was handwriting the seat location. So it's a handwritten seat finder. It was ridiculous. But anyway, let's have this discussion, because I haven't really thought about this that much, but I don't know. Do you think that this is a real ticket?
I kind of do think I consider it. It's not technically a ticket. They call them seat finders, but you had to have this to get to your seat. You had to be in the arena to get this. You had to have a ticket to get this, or a mobile ticket.
But but you didn't have to have this in order to enter the event.
No, but not to enter the event, no. So they would print this out and give it to you.
Yeah.
And then when you went to your seat, you would probably show the usher, hey, here's my ticket. I guess you would say, here's my seat finder, but most people probably say, oh, here's my ticket.
I thought that PSA was notating that, but it doesn't look like they are on
Right,
this.
and that's another thing that surprised me. I remember looking at the write-up, I was like, oh, it doesn't say seat finder. So I was going forward, are they now considering these tickets?
Yeah, I thought that they did differentiate. Like they would slab them, but they're
I thought
not.
they did too. And it says full, which is kind of funny, like it's a full ticket.
Yeah.
They weren't ripping. Like,
Yeah, like what's yeah. So what does it say on the back? Can you click on the other one? I want to see what it.
Oh yeah, sure.
I don't want to read it, but I just want to see what it's
It says take care of your ticket.
Okay.
It can't be replaced if lost. This ticket is a revocable license. So
it can't be replaced as lost. So that's the other question. Like, what if you went? I was just thinking that, but maybe that answers it. That what if you went back to them and say you lost it, and could they print another one? Because then you could have multiples of the same one, and that's not.
I don't know if they actually could print you another.
Yeah, but it says that you can't. So, and it would make sense that you wouldn't be able to, because the whole purpose is to not have a fight with somebody else who has your same seat when you get to the seat and they're sitting in it, and you don't want, to like you go to the usher and they have to kick them out or whatever. That's the whole purpose of having this, so they wouldn't duplicate them. So yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's as good as a ticket, but it may not be technically a ticket, if that makes sense.
Right.
But in terms of its collectability and its placeholder in that collection, I think it's the same, because
it's just as ugly as a basic box office ticket.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Is this an event that they weren't actually giving physical tickets to?
Probably not. It's probably a mobile QR where they scan it, and they would print it out.
Yeah. So
back then.
So it might be a pretty rare piece.
Yeah, there's only one of these graded. This is the Jaw 101 debut.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
What's your prediction on the final paper?
Yeah, that's a tough one, and it'll be interesting to watch because it will tell us a lot about the whole idea of supply demand, or just
I'm thinking 8,000. I'm putting it there.
That's what you're going with? Okay.
It's Ja Morant. Card guys love Ja Morant. This is
and you can't. It might be the only option.
And this really might be the only one.
Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't been to an NBA basketball game since the Sonics were in town. So I don't even know what the scene is like as far as printing these types of things. Is it pretty common? Do they do it a lot?
I don't think they do it anymore. I know at the Mavericks they don't do it anymore. You show your phone to the usher now, which is kind of annoying, but
it's a hassle. Yeah,
not that big of a deal. It's kind of the same thing as pulling your ticket out. So I think they stopped doing this, especially after COVID. They didn't want paper floating around, and I think they just kind of grandfathered it in after COVID. It's like, you know what, we're just gonna do the QRs and you show your phone to the usher.
Yeah. Interesting. Actually, I have been to an NBA basketball game. I'm sorry. I went to a Blazers game.
Oh.
Since 2007.
Yeah, here's the pop report on it. One.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so I guess the question is, do you think that all of a sudden there will be 20 of them if this was for like $10,000?
I'm sure a few more will pop up, but I'm thinking between 6 and 8 is my guess.
Yeah. Because in 2000, what was it, 18? Or that was a 19, right? 2019?
20.
I think it was 2019.
Yeah, 2019.
In 2019, you and I both know that there were still hardcore ticket collectors who wanted everybody's debuts, and this was not that long ago. Right. I was definitely in that crowd. And so people also knew then that physical tickets were going away, and so that if they can get anything related to a ticket, they would. And so I would imagine there's more of those out there.
Yeah, I would think so. There's got to be more.
I'm not saying thousands or even hundreds, but I bet there's more.
A dozen, 5, 10, a dozen, 20. Who knows?
It's probably not a one-of-one.
Right. Do you have any pickups? I actually had some stuff I got back from PSA.
I do.
On eBay. Oh, yeah. Last week you said you had something big, right?
Yeah, I got the big one.
Oh, right. Let's go.
So from the Leland's auction.
You got one.
Yeah, I finally got one, the 100. So this one is the lower grade version of the two that they were selling, the PSA 1. And you can see it's got, bend corners and everything like that. But as you know, I'm not big on grade. I just want a copy of it.
Right.
And I felt like it's come up so often recently, just like we talked about, that the price finally corrected down to what, is definitely more reasonable for a long-term hold situation. To me, it's one of the Mount Rushmore of all tickets, and I've always wanted it. So sending in some, or I already sent in some consignment to pay for it. So
nice. Yeah, it's funny because on the other end, I'm one who bought one of the super high ends at probably an inflated price. It's a nicer version. Maybe 10 years from now, we may be like, oh man, you got a better deal. But I think right now, in the next 2 or 3 years, I think I would have rather bought a lower grade at a lower price like you got than the one, the fancy one that I bought at a super high price.
Yeah. Well, it also depends on just what you like. I personally don't really pay attention to grade that much as long as the visuals are all there. And so I want a copy of it, knowing that it is a pretty rare ticket. The population's like 22, but that's one that is probably pretty. I hate saying that, it's not close. There's probably dozens more out there that are in scrapbooks or whatever, but it's closer than most because the attendance was only 4,000 to that game. There's not a ton of them out there, no matter what. And I think it's 22 or 23 in the pop report. So
it was kind of funny when the last 3 or 4 months when people be like, oh, ticket prices are so down, they're so down. I remember not really realizing that much. I guess one, because I wasn't so much, chasing them at super high prices. Yeah, I bought some stuff that was not worth as much today. But it's more of I wasn't stressed about it because I bought them because I wasn't trying to flip them.
Mm-hmm.
The vast majority. Of course, there's things I bought that I tried to flip. But it's like, well, I don't care. It's got lost 20, 30% of its value. It's still hanging on my wall and I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. No, I know that. And that's how I feel about this one. Yeah. It sold for $36,000 and I paid $150 for it. But it's still, I don't count that as money that I have. So now it's worth maybe a couple thousand, but it's still way more than I ever paid for it.
Right.
So
I think we both kind of got in on early of a lot of stuff. And we're spending money that we can afford to lose. If all our crap lost 80% of its value, it'd be like, well, that does kind of suck, but we're not. Our life isn't changing.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that hopefully everybody's is staying within that that rule.
Right. Do you have any other pickups before I get to
that? Was the big one. I have a couple more on the way that I'll show like next week or whenever we do again. But yeah, that's the only one that I've actually gotten in hand so far.
So I was super excited about this, and I don't know if I was just kind of surprised it was still out there. So I got a Luka debut, box office version one.
Nice.
I got this on eBay. It was pretty beat up.
Is it preseason?
No, it's his regular season.
I don't know if I've ever seen a regular season debut.
Yeah, he's got a season ticket version, which is like a Big Sun suite ticket. And then there's this box office version. I think the other one's better. I would love to get this signed. You can see there's like creases and stuff, but it was on eBay and just sitting out there. I mean, I bought it now for $600. And I was like, I've been trying to find one of these forever. And I think
I know.
The best.
That's a pretty big one for you, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one I've been trying to find for a while, and I was like, "Holy cow!" Have you seen
the season ticket version?
Yeah, it's cool. It's big. It's a big version, and it's got the Suns on it. There's not many out there. Like, the thing about these tickets, they're very rare because you either had to go to the box office, or you had to be a club suite holder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one. Did you? Was it an auction or?
It was a buy it now, and the guy didn't put debut, and I was like, man, I feel like I'm getting an amazing deal, but maybe not. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing deal, and I'm not even a basketball guy.
Excited about it. Yeah, but it's beat up, but I don't care.
Yeah, who cares?
I bought this on the Booger Stubs. I've been looking. These aren't what I'd say rare, but I was like, this is autoed by both guys. Do you know what ticket this is?
Is it the Sid Bream?
Yeah,
Sid
Sid
Bream slide?
and Cabrera signed Game
nice.
7.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, as a kid of our age, remembering that,
Oh
like,
yeah. That was.
how do you not?
I know. I remember not too long ago I was talking to somebody about that game, and I said the Sid Bream slide, and
Right.
realized how young they were because they'd never heard of that. And
Yeah,
yeah,
this is
if
really
you're
it.
our age, you have to remember that.
Right.
But
It was like the biggest baseball play ever.
I know.
But it went like 175 for both autos and a full. Like,
Wow. Yeah, I think I have that one. It's graded. It was already graded. I bought it on eBay back in the day, and I think I paid probably about $100 for it. And
Yeah.
so that's a great
I
deal.
mean, I don't think it's something that'll, it's going to be worth 2,000 in a couple of years.
Yeah.
No, it's just like a
Yeah.
collector. It's like, oh man, reminds me of when I was younger.
Yeah.
I got this back. It's a LT debut, and I got an auto.
Oh, nice.
And this is something I could actually part with. I think I may take this to the National and see if somebody wants to buy it. Yeah, I kind of bought it when things were expensive, so I'll probably just maybe get my money back.
Are you at the National? Are you setting up, or you have a buddy who?
I have a table. I don't know if I'm gonna be there 2 days or 4 days. I'm sharing with another guy, so I don't know how much I'll be set up. I would like to set up. I just can't stand there for 4 or 5 days straight. So
Yeah.
I don't know what I'll do.
Yeah.
I got this Trey Lance debut. I thought that was cool. Who knows how good he'll be autoed. I wanted him to sign over the Lion, but they signed him over the Niners. But
Yeah.
I bought this at the auction. I think we talked about it. I was super excited when I got this. It's the Secretariat Preakness ticket. It's really hard to find. And the betting slip came with it, and it's damn near mint.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get all 3 races. I know his 50th anniversary comes up. I know you're not a horse race guy, but I think it's going to be a really big deal.
Does PSA slab the betting slips too?
Yeah, they'll slab the betting slips. Usually, they go anywhere from like $600-800 to like $3,000, depending on how nice they are for what Triple Crown race it was.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned this one. It was Clemente's last game. Got it pretty cheap. What wasn't his last regular season, but his last
game
was postseason. And he was only like eBay $200 or $300 or something like that.
Yeah, that's a pretty common ticket, but it's definitely one that's become a lot more desirable recently.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot out there, but I was like, man, it's Clemente. Those guys who had those abrupt ends.
Right. It's never not going to be important.
It was great. I've been reading the book. It's called Baseball 100, where a guy ranks the top 100 players. I highly recommend it. And they just kind of go through all those guys. You're like, oh, man, that guy, Satchel Paige, how amazing. Some people you never read too much about, how cool they were, especially if you're a baseball fan.
Yeah.
Julio Rodriguez might be making that list here pretty soon.
Yeah. He hit another home run today.
Yeah, I think he's the real deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that maybe next year, well, I won't make any more speculation. He's just going to be a superstar for sure.
He seems like it. Man, I feel like he's got all the tools. And he's already crushing it.
Did you see that fight? Did you see that fight with the Angels?
Yeah, I watched the John Boy replay of it. Do you know John Boy?
Breakdown. Yeah,
the
breakdown.
breakdown.
That was really good. But I was hoping that he would try to find Julio in that, because he got suspended for 2 games for that, and he didn't do anything. And so there's this whole thing about he didn't throw any punches, he didn't do anything except for try to get people off. But somehow they thought that he threw punches and he didn't. But so maybe they'll appeal it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think that's pretty much it, unless you got anything else on your agenda.
Any more comments?
You know what? We do have one more from the same guy. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Humza Janjua. Do you think Kobe auto tickets will hold value? Sean.
I think that the auto ticket market has been overinflated in general, but that being said, he's one of those rare ones that will probably hold value better than most, just because he died tragically, and there's not, you can't get any more of them. But he did sign quite a bit before that.
Right.
So,
well, I was like your take on how Mickey Mantle signed everything, and his stuff is just it's still real expensive, isn't it?
It's true, and it's same with Ted Williams. Those old guys who were in Joe DiMaggio, it's like they didn't make enough money in their career to be set to the point where they could just relax and retire off. So they made a lot of money signing in shows and stuff. And when that became popular in the 90s, they were doing it all the time. And I remember, what it was like $20 to get a Mickey Mantle signature or something. Ted Williams, those guys. So tons of those out there. Also lots of fakes. So you have to be careful of that. But yeah, but they have held value is what you're getting at, and they kind of continue to go up. Not a lot because there's so much supply, but they do hold their value, and so. But
let's see how Kobe, how his stuff, unless it got real speculative, crazy high, I don't see how 10 or 20 years from now.
But did it
more?
Because I think that the Tom Brady stuff is definitely speculative high, or it was. We haven't seen a lot of it. That $10,000 one seems to be holding at least.
I think a very similar ticket that wasn't autoed went for like $1,000. The one where he autoed with a 10 was worth $10,000.
Yeah. Let's see, that's too much.
Yeah, I agree. It seems ridiculous.
But the thing about the autographs of guys who are still living is that even if they don't sign at shows or they don't sign privately, they still have friends, they still have family, they still have people who have access to them, and they'll get that stuff signed. The stuff will get out into the public signed, even if it isn't, that they're giving it to the masses. And so it's not super exclusive. That's just my opinion. And I don't, especially when it's somebody like Tom Brady keeps himself really healthy, he's probably going to live for another 30, 40 years, maybe 50 more years. He's going to be signing that entire time. So.
Agreed. But no, I think Kobe Auto, especially his walking away ticket, the last game. That looks amazing. And if he actually autoed it, stuff like that.
Yep. Because you can't get another one of those reproduced.
Right.
The number of them that are out there is probably pretty limited, and they're not going to be anymore. So, yeah, as far as autographs go, that's probably as safe as it gets of modern day guys.
Agreed. Answering those questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a good far. When we first started, we didn't talk about doing a show. We didn't have much, but I was like, you know what? I think we got some stuff with the crazy sales and all this.
Yeah. And then there's that heritage auction that has just a ton of tickets, some really good ones, some interesting ones, rare, some common ones. But we still need to talk about that probably when they all load, because they're still loading them.
Agreed.
And you have some in that too, right?
Yeah, I put some nice stuff in there. I got like 2 or 3. What they're doing now is anything pretty much over 1,000 or 2, they'll put in their platinum auction. But if it's under 1,000, they're going to throw in their Sunday night auctions. So stuff like that, Bo, final ticket, things like that. So diving through those is, I think, a good idea. And if you can get your tickets at these auction houses, getting those platinum, I think, is definitely a bump, because you're just going to have less riffraff to sort through, and it kind of makes it look superior to the platinum listings. Yeah,
I think that's a better format than what Golden does, where they just throw everything in there. Month.
Well, they got they have like 200 coming up, and it's just so much trash. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I was looking through that, and there are a couple that are kind of interesting to me, but you really have to surf through a lot of just junk.
No, for sure. Yeah.
So, all right. I guess we'll wrap it up then.
So yeah, maybe might be a week or 2, maybe 3. I'll be going out of town quite a bit coming up, so we'll have to figure that one out.
Yeah, well, that'll take us right up to almost before the National, right?
Yeah, so probably 1 or 2 shows before the National is all I'll be able to do.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, see you next week or maybe in 2 to 3 weeks.
All right.
All right.
Later.